Former U.S. President Donald Trump, known for his assertive trade policies, made headlines in 2024 by threatening to impose hefty tariffs on BRICS nations. These tariffs, reaching a staggering 150%, were a direct response to the emerging economy's pursuit of de-dollarization. Trump's protectionist stance aimed to safeguard American economic interests and maintain the U.S. dollar's global dominance. However, this aggressive move had the potential to ignite a trade war with significant repercussions for both sides. The tariff threats extended beyond BRICS, encompassing key U.S. allies within the G7. Canada and Mexico faced a potential 25% tariff, while the European Union braced for unspecified levies. This broad-stroke approach highlighted the Trump administration's commitment to prioritize domestic industries and reduce reliance on foreign trade partners. Critics argued that these tariffs would harm American consumers by driving up prices for imported goods. They also warned of retaliatory measures from targeted nations, potentially damaging U.S. businesses and triggering a global economic downturn. The proposed tariffs sparked intense debate, raising concerns about the long-term consequences for global trade and cooperation. Experts predicted dire consequences for U.S. BRICS trade relations if Trump's tariff threats materialized. The Peterson Institute for International Economics projected a potential 90% decline in trade volume between the two blocs. China, being the largest exporter within BRICS, would bear the brunt of this economic shock. The ripple effects of these tariffs would extend far beyond bilateral trade. American consumers could face significant price hikes on everyday goods, from electronics to clothing. U.S. businesses, particularly those reliant on imports from BRICS nations, could experience supply chain disruptions and increased production costs. Retaliatory tariffs from BRICS nations would further exacerbate the situation. U.S. exports, including agricultural products and manufactured goods, could face significant barriers to entry in these key emerging markets. This tit-for-tat escalation could spiral into a full-blown trade war, jeopardizing global economic stability. The Peterson Institute for International Economics estimated that it could take BRICS economies 3 to 5 years to recover from the impact of these tariffs. The economic fallout would likely trigger job losses, reduce investment, and hinder growth prospects in both the developed and developing world. Amidst escalating trade tensions with the U.S., BRICS nations accelerated their efforts to establish an alternative financial system. This ambition materialized in the form of BRICS Pay, a cross-border digital payment system designed to reduce reliance on the U.S. dollar and Western-controlled financial institutions like SWIFT. Spearheaded by Russia and China, BRICS Pay aimed to facilitate seamless transactions between member nations using their respective currencies. This system sought to bypass the U.S. dollar's dominance in international trade and mitigate the impact of potential economic sanctions. The development of BRICS Pay signaled a growing desire among emerging economies to challenge the established global financial order. It reflected a shift in economic power dynamics, with BRICS nations asserting their growing influence on the world stage. This new payment system aimed to promote financial inclusion, particularly in developing countries with limited access to traditional banking services. By leveraging digital technologies, BRICS Pay could potentially revolutionize cross-border payments, making them faster, cheaper, and more accessible to businesses and individuals alike. The implementation of BRICS Pay promised numerous advantages for its member nations. By reducing reliance on the U.S. dollar, BRICS economies could potentially insulate themselves from fluctuations in the U.S. economy and the impact of unilateral sanctions. This newfound financial autonomy could empower BRICS nations to pursue independent economic policies and forge stronger trade relationships within the bloc. It also had the potential to boost intra-BRICS trade by simplifying transactions and reducing currency exchange costs. BRICS Pay could also serve as a powerful tool for promoting the use of national currencies in international trade. This could potentially reduce exchange rate volatility and enhance financial stability within member nations. Moreover, the system could foster greater financial inclusion by providing access to affordable and convenient digital payment services to unbanked populations within BRICS countries. This could unlock new economic opportunities and contribute to inclusive growth within these emerging markets. Geopolitical implications, a challenge to the dollar's hegemony. The emergence of BRICS pay carried significant geopolitical implications, signaling a potential shift in the balance of global economic power. By offering an alternative to the US dollar-centric financial system, BRICS nations challenged the long-standing dominance of Western institutions. This move could potentially diminish the influence of the US and its allies in shaping global financial policies. It could also encourage other countries, particularly those seeking to reduce their dependence on the US dollar, to explore alternative payment systems and forge stronger economic ties with BRICS nations. BRICS pay's emergence highlighted the growing multipolarity of the world order. As emerging economies gain economic clout, they are increasingly assertive in demanding a greater say in shaping global governance structures. The potential ramifications of this shift are far-reaching. It could lead to a more fragmented global financial system with competing blocs vying for influence. It could also accelerate the trend towards de-globalization as countries prioritize regional partnerships and self-reliance. Long-term effects, reshaping the global trading landscape. The long-term effects of BRICS pay on global trade remain uncertain, but its emergence undoubtedly marked a turning point in the evolution of the international financial system. If successful, BRICS pay could potentially reshape the global trading landscape in profound ways. One possibility is the emergence of a more fragmented global economy, with competing trading blocs centered around different reserve currencies. This could lead to a decline in global trade as countries prioritize regional partnerships and erect barriers to protect their domestic industries. Alternatively, BRICS pay could usher in an era of greater competition and innovation in the global financial system. This could benefit businesses and consumers by providing them with a wider range of payment options and potentially lower transaction costs. The success of BRICS pay will depend on various factors, including its adoption rate among businesses and consumers, the stability of BRICS economies, and the response of Western nations. Its impact on global trade will likely unfold over many years, with far-reaching consequences for the global economy and the balance of power. U.S. response, a divided house. The U.S. response to BRICS pay and de-dollarization was mixed. Some lawmakers urged steps to maintain the dollar's dominance. They argued a decline would erode U.S. power. Others downplayed the significance, citing the dollar's safe haven status. The Biden administration faces the challenge of balancing domestic and international interests. BRICS response, a united front. In contrast to the divided response from the U.S., BRICS nations presented a united front in the face of Trump's tariff threats and the push for de-dollarization. Leaders from these emerging economies reiterated their commitment to strengthening economic cooperation and reducing reliance on the U.S. dollar. They emphasized the importance of BRICS pay in promoting financial inclusion, reducing transaction costs, and enhancing their autonomy in the global financial system. BRICS nations also sought to diversify their trade relationships, reducing their dependence on the U.S. market, and forging stronger ties with other emerging economies. This strategy aimed to mitigate the impact of potential U.S. sanctions and create a more multipolar global trading system. The BRICS bloc's response to these challenges demonstrated a growing sense of confidence and assertiveness on the world stage. As these emerging economies continue to grow and integrate their economies, their influence on global affairs is likely to increase, potentially reshaping the global order in the years to come. Conclusion: a new world order in the making. The emergence of BRICS pay, coupled with escalating trade tensions between the U.S. and BRICS nations, marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of the global financial system. These developments reflect the shifting balance of economic power and the growing desire among emerging economies for greater autonomy and influence. The long-term consequences of these shifts remain uncertain. The world may be on the cusp of a new era of multipolarity, with competing economic blocs vying for dominance. Alternatively, these tensions could subside, leading to a more balanced and inclusive global order. The future of global trade and finance hangs in the balance. The choices made by policymakers in the U.S., BRICS nations, and other key players will determine whether the world moves towards greater fragmentation or cooperation. The stakes are high, with implications for economic prosperity, geopolitical stability, and the future of globalization itself.